We are the Dark Side.
Hi, I'm Malik.
Hi, I'm Fabio.
I'm James.
I'm Charlotte.
Hi, I'm Matt. Physical literacy was defined by Whitehead 2001. It said that physical literacy moves with poise, economy and confidence in a wide variety of physical challenge situations, and in perspective, in reading all aspects of physical environment, anticipating movements, needs or possibilities and responding appropriately to these with intelligence and imagination. Our group came up with our own definition that we thought simplifies Whitehead's definition. To be physical literate is mainly to do with ability and movement, expressive movement, utilitarian movement and objective movement. Ability is understanding, confidence in a wide variety of physical challenges and situations and reading all aspects of the physical movement. To try and answer the question of how to develop one's physical literacy, we need to look at the factors that affect physical literacy and how we can use them to develop. My team will now look into the main factors and briefly explain how to use them, looking into
pedagogy.
Philosophy.
What is the stages of physical literacy?
Behaviourist and constructivist.
Fun, play and multiple intelligences.
Behaviourism and constructivism are two types of philosophies of physical and sport education that can be used to improve an individual's physical literacy. The main idea is that the repetition of skills and drills will allow the individual to understand the situation, learn how to deal with it and then improve, therefore improving their physical literacy. However, the approach does not consider all game-like scenarios. For example, the likelihood of passing the ball back and forth 10 metres apart directly opposite someone under no pressure find the method tedious as it can become very repetitive. Boredom may then affect the individual's attitude towards the activity or sport in their life. So boring! On the other hand, constructivism sees a different view on physical and sport education and how it can affect an individual's physical literacy. Constructivism focuses more on the learner with the practitioner as a facilitator. It is based on the idea that physical literate knowledge is constructed from past experience. This experience then allows the individual to make decisions in the sporting environment that can be learned or improved, therefore improving one's physical literacy.
Pedagogy is said to be the art and science of the engagement with people for productive learning as defined by Dr. Len Ullman. This idea of pedagogy states that engaging with all students is the most important factor in developing good physical literacy, which in turn helps an individual to improve their learning and the quality of their life. Effective pedagogy helps to develop key life skills by ensuring that an activity is of the appropriate frequency, intensity and duration. Effective pedagogy looks to make all activities in the learning environment task-orientated. This is where the learner has an aim and goal to achieve. Objectives being set by the practitioner give the learner the chance to teach themselves to self-assess and analyse their performance when they are marked up against a criteria of an objective. Pedagogy is said to be effective if it promotes success for all learners. Every child must be able to achieve and complete a task. Activities that the learner takes part in need to develop things such as motor and cognitive skills. These will all help to improve their development and help them to become more physically literate. Communication between the learners and practitioners is also highly important. For the learners, feedback and reinforcement are vital as they help them to self-assess and evaluate their performance on certain activities. Learners will respond best when feedback is given simply in both verbal and visual form. So demonstration and talking them through a task will all help the learners proccess and acknowledge what
Now what I want you to do, I want you to stand your body straight, yeah? I want you to hold the ball on your chest.
Okay.
And extend your arm straight forward so it goes straight to the opposite place. So
Okay.
just like that.
So
Would you like to try?
like this?
That's it!
Woo!
Dark side philosophy is based on behaviourism. The concept of behaviourism is identifying, encouraging, measuring the behaviours exhibited by a person or animal. Behaviours that we focus on was Ivan Pavlov. These philosophies use classical conditioning in order to investigate responses to a stimulus in an experiment. Classical conditioning involves learning to associate an unconditioned stimulus that really brings about a particular response with a new conditioned stimulus. It was discovered accidentally. Pavlov was looking at salvation in dogs in response to being fed. In behaviourist terms, it is an unconditioned reflex, stimulus-response connection that required no learning. A sporting example that represents this is in a football match. The neutral stimulus could be football fans, the unconditioned stimulus could be a scream parent loudly, the unconditioned response is fear anxiety. So this then leads to the conditioned stimulus being football fans and the conditioned response being fear anxiety. This is because if you are participating in a football match and you see your parents screaming loudly, You begin to feel fear and anxiety as you feel pressure to do well. So each time you go to play in a football match and you see your parents screaming loudly, the natural response is to feel fear and anxiety.
As we all know, not every individual learns the same way. Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences from 1983 suggests that everybody has different learning styles, such as visual, interpersonal, musical, linguistic, mathematical, bodily, interpersonal, and naturalistic. This theory argues that some individuals may be comfortable with certain learning techniques than others. For example, a child that can multiply a complex equation easily is not necessarily more intelligent than somebody who has more difficulty in this task, as that child may be able to perform that task if shown using a different learning style or technique. A physical practitioner's role would be to ensure that their lessons are delivered using various methods to ensure that every child is comfortable and they are able to progress and become more physical literate. Another important factor is to ensure that fun and play are both infused into the sessions, especially amongst younger participants, to allow positive atmosphere and to encourage participation. This builds up their social factors, which would then support their physical literacy. It is important to know the different types of intelligences that the individuals have, as they may find different things fun. Mixing structure and competition with fun within lessons are vital for each individual to achieve whichever goal they are aiming for, and this would benefit not only their physical literacy, but many other life skills too.
Through physical stages of learning, we go up through life, changing our ideas, our ideals on our sport. With the stages growing up at the same time, we also change as people, whether we become more disciplined, more confident, or sometimes vice versa. Sometimes, if we don't have that sort of competitive side, we may not have that self-esteem, or may not be as confident as we should be. As physical practitioners, we have to develop ideas, activities that could improve, enhance the performance of young athletes, or maybe just young people, increasing their confidence, probably making them more competitive, but at the same time having them enjoy life, especially as growing up, making them into a better person as a whole. But for physical literacy, for the stages, as practitioners, we have to carry on developing using trial and error behaviourist theory techniques, so that not only the athlete, the young person, the young people will develop their physical attributes, but also develop them as a person and use those attributes such as confidence, self-esteem. Here's a song that I wrote with my mate Dominic. Hope you like it. Enjoy.
Physical literacy, I've been waiting for you all my life, all my life. We have lost theory to you now, all my life, all my life. Now this presentation is for you now. My call, please give us a first. The stages of physical literacy starts at birth. My words, listen closely. We're speaking up, hear me out, let me out. Can you hear the birds whistling silently in the sky, looking down, looking down. They say you can fly. New challenges are found as years go by. Walking up to a teenager and figuring out a life. Forced to do this, don't wanna do that. Got my own choices, wanna worry about that. A little bit of time and space will help me decide. Don't wanna be pushed, prefer to be free. Unlock the door and give me the key. I wanna let go of the poison in my mind.